After heavy fighting in Lysychansk, the Ukrainian military was forced to leave the city. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine stated that the enemy used a huge amount of equipment for the offensive. It also had a large advantage in aviation. Therefore, a further defense of Lysychansk by the Ukrainian military would lead to serious consequences.
In order to save the lives of Ukrainian defenders, a decision to withdraw was made. We continue to fight. Unfortunately, still will and patriotism are not enough for success. We need material and technical resources. Defenders of the Luhansk region and other regions of our country heroically perform their civil and military duties. From the message of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
Ukraine does not give anything up. This is how President Volodymyr Zelensky in his evening address commented on the withdrawal of the Ukrainian army from Lysychansk. He said the armed forces of Ukraine will regain control of the territory thanks to military tactics and new weapons.
Якщо командування нашої армії
If the command of our army withdraws people from certain points of the front where the enemy has the greatest fire superiority, in particular, this applies to Lysychansk, it means only one thing. We will return thanks to our tactics, thanks to the increase in the supply of modern weapons.
In the Lysychansk direction, Russian troops also occupied the village of Zolotarivka. The situation in the Kramatorsk direction is also difficult. The enemy is trying to seize Bilohorivka, Donetsk region. The Ukrainian armed forces managed to repel several of these attacks.
Ukrainian forces successfully repulsed offensives in the direction of Nirkove, Berestove. The enemy also attempted to conduct combat reconnaissance in the direction of Vasilievka, Berestove with no success. The enemy conducted assault actions in the direction of Vovchayarivka, Spirne and Mykolaivka, Spirne, suffered significant losses and withdrew.
Russian occupiers are accumulating troops on the territory of the Kherson region. According to the Odessa Military Regional Administration, the enemy has begun relocating military equipment to the region.
The occupiers have settled in the center, in the police department, the courthouse and many other buildings. The locals are very frightened. A similar situation is observed in various localities in the region. The occupiers have also been concentrated in the center of Kherson. They are searching the passerby selectively. Obviously, they are afraid and are preparing for an attack by the armed forces of Ukraine. Serhiy Brachuk, spokesman of the Odessa Regional Military Administration.
The enemy carried out a massive shelling of the entire Donetsk region. Slovyansk was hit the hardest. 6 civilians were killed, including a child. Another 19 people were wounded. About 40 residential buildings were damaged.
This is the most intense shelling of the city in recent times, up to 15 fires and a high number of wounded and killed. We are holding on, we are all together.
The Russian occupiers shelled Kramatorsk twice, using a Smerch multiple rocket launch system. A hotel in the city was destroyed, and residential buildings, a school, a clinic, and a kindergarten were damaged. One person was wounded. Residents of the Kharkiv region are urged not to leave their homes unless it is very necessary. The enemy is shelling residential areas. 3 people have been killed.
Civilians and civilian infrastructure suffered once again. The villages of Derhachi and Vilhivka territorial communities are under fire. Oleg Senyugubov, head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration.
As a result of a missile attack on the city of Kharkiv, 1 person was killed and another 4 were wounded. Private houses and an educational institution were damaged. Since the beginning of the full-scale military invasion, Russia has destroyed the homes of more than 800,000 Ukrainians. The government assures that all those affected will receive compensation, and all surviving houses will be rebuilt. Reported by Roman Smoler, Alexander Belov, UATV News.